Hi, this is Bill from Billboard Comics, back with another installment of Growing Up Comics. This week, I I have to go over a shameful part of my history. Something I'm not really proud to admit that I'm kind of ashamed of. And if you saw the little preview trailer teaser image on this video, you'll know my secret shame, which isn't really secret anymore because I put it on the top of the teaser image for this video for all of YouTube to see. Yes, I at one time hated Jack Kirby. Hated his artwork, hated his writing, more of his artwork than his writing, and I hated it with a passion that burned hotter than the sun. Um, so let's take a walk down memory lane and talk to you about this. Um, First, a mea culpa about this. This hatred happened when I was I'd say about 5 years old. Um, so before you start throwing like baseball bats and stones at my head, I was a young kid who didn't really realize what was going on. My first issue of Captain America comics was Captain America 210. Um, there's a 30-cent special I bought off the newsstand. I bought it because of the cover. The cover had this wild guy with a red, like a red skull-like face, only with tendrils coming out of like hair out of his face, like some kind of mythical creature from like the um, like ancient Greece or whatever, like a hydra or something like this. And it had its tendrils all over these faces of these characters. Captain America, obviously, uh, the Falcon, uh, Sharon Carter, and another woman who was also there, whose name I forget. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting power. He can make his skin come out and do that. I would like to, as 5-year-old me thought like that would be pretty cool to look at. And I thought that would be interesting to read. So I pick it up and read it. Uh, from what I recall the story, and I read it again like a while back, it's like um, Captain America's in this secret castle and set up by Red Skull. I think it's in this South American kind of place. Um, and, you know, they're fighting Nazis, and Arnim Zola's there. And in case you don't know Arnim Zola, he's the character from uh, Captain America Winter Soldier, played by Toby. Hmm, uh, well, um, played by Toby somebody. I'll put the little thing here if I could remember it. Um, who was Nazi, a scientist who helped Red Skull with uh, the creation of Hydra. In this comic book, he was basically a camera on top of his head, and his chest was his big face. Right off the bat, that kind of was a little bit too weird for 5-year-old me. Uh, I wasn't ready for such trippy concepts in my comic books. You know, you know, listen, yeah, I know I could go back to my Archies and my Richie Riches and you know read those and be not challenged in any kind of perception whatsoever. But seeing a guy with a camera on the top of his head and his face actually being in his chest, that was a little bit too much for me. Um, but I didn't like the artwork. I thought that character design was like really weird, too weird. And granted, it was the '70s, and people who were much older than me were drinking many adult beverages and taking many adult pharmaceuticals, and they probably dug that a whole lot more than I did. Um, but I just thought it was just too weird. And I also didn't like the way he did women's faces. They all seemed like the same kind of blockiness and not very attractive, and like not, the only main difference between a male face and a female face was like the lips were a little bit darker hue. Um, I mean, I like the story enough to actually like, because Jack Kirby also wrote the story on that to get the second issue. Um, but another thing, they also had like another character called Doughboy, which is basically a character made out of dough. They had Primus, which was kind of like a glowing, like synthetic man kind of thing. All trippy head concepts for somebody just to be introduced into comic books and stuff like this. Um, I didn't mind the way the thing picked out and like how the action worked and like this, but like I think to myself as I'm reading this isn't Sal Buscema. This guy's, if anything, he's trying to rip off of Sal Buscema. I mean, they look very similar, the art styles. I mean, how dare he? I mean, like, gee, just draw the comic book already, man. Come on. Uh, then try to draw a woman that looks like a woman and not like, a freak show. Like, who the hell does this guy know that he's actually got a job here? Um, the naivety of youth. Had no idea about that. Then I saw him next time. I think I recognized him as coming in. Is like doing the Super Powers series for DC Comics. He did the comics for that, and I realized he actually did some of the designs of the toys there, um, like a kind of reboot of the Parademons for the actual toy line to make them more toy-ific. Um, and then from that, I realized, okay, he created a lot of the characters created for that line um, back when he worked for DC. And I said, like, well, before he worked for DC, he worked for Marvel, and he helped create the Marvel style. He helped create the Fantastic Four. He helped discuss, find out about and before that, he worked in the '40s for Timely with Joel Simon, and he created Captain America, one of my favorite characters. And that first Captain America I picked up was Jack Kirby returning to the character that he brought into the world. Um, so I began to get a begrudging respect for the man and the experience that he had in shaping the comic books for him. Um, I still think his artwork is sometimes a little bit too blocky for my personal tastes, but you can't deny the way he tells a story and the way he has the figures leap off the page or be punched off the page or be kicked off the page. Everything seems to be in motion. Everything seems to be exciting. Everything seems to be like powerful and dynamic. Um, it, it's stuff that like in later years, people who are just looking to sell pinups for on their at conventions as their form of their original art, to like have people standing around and that's part of the action. Um, doesn't really tell a story, but it's a pretty picture you could make money off of. Jack Kirby seemed to actually understand like his job is to tell a story, and he told the story. Um, this all came out after the fact, but if you asked me, go back in time capsule to like 1977, March is when it came out, March 8th, 1977, and ask me about like what I thought of Jack Kirby, I'd say like I would recommend he be fired. Uh, I wouldn't say from a canon because I was 5 years old, so I didn't wasn't that quite violent yet. Um, but yeah, it was a weird awakening to realize that this this creator, who I just thought was a random creator, like some kind of like hippie who is trying to do all fancy kind of hippie stuff on his Captain America book, was actually the guy who created the character, created the Marvel Universe, and was one of the legendary names in comic books, and you know influenced and inspired all the other comic book artists of the day that I enjoyed and liked, and do stuff like this. Um, so this is going to be a brief one, but I figure I might as well put this out here just to let you know, like these reminiscences is not going to be all like um, flowers and candy. It's not going to be like great stuff. It's going to be me relating how stupid I was uh, in my hatreds and my prejudices, and such as not liking Jack Kirby, hating him, not hating Jack Kirby. So equally await people who perhaps maybe didn't make it through all this video to put something down in the comments to tell me exactly how bad I did, and or if you like the comment, if you are a secret Jack Kirby hater, and you can give me a thumbs up. If you like this kind of controversial stance that the 5-year-old me made way back uh, 28 years ago, no, 48 years ago, 48 years ago. Sorry about that. Oops. Then by all means, um, subscribe because there'll probably be more of it coming. Um, thank you very much for hanging out this far, and I happy collecting.